All right, so we're going to look at 1.4 distributive property. So we've already looked at 1.4 expressions. Now we're going to build off of expressions, and we're going to talk about what's called the distributive property. It's probably one of my favorite math properties because it's something you use a lot. All right, this is going to be the beginning of the distributive property, and then you're going to use this a lot. So like I mentioned before on the expression ones, I didn't have goals. I do have goals on this one. Reminder, you do not need to write down the goals. So our goal is to use the distributive property to evaluate expressions and use the distributive property to simplify expressions. So again, you should be writing 1.4 distributive property. So the distributive property for any number A, B, and C. So we're using the variables A, B, and C to represent any number. It could be a fraction, it could be an integer, it could be a decimal, it could be any type of rational number, anything like that. Right. What it means is this is the definition. So if we have the number A and we are multiplying it by B plus C, so B plus C is in here. If we remember from the previous video, we can't combine B and C because they're not like terms. But what I can do is I can distribute the A to the B, and I can distribute the A to the C. So what that means is I take A and I multiply it by B, I take A and I multiply it by C. And then it gives me AB plus AC. Because remember, when we talk about simplifying expressions, that means there's no more parentheses. So we need to distribute to simplify because it gets rid of the parentheses. And if you remember, a number next to a parentheses, so if I had like A times B, remember, a number next to parentheses means multiplication. So the distributive property is multiplication. This shows it going frontwards. It also can be the same backwards. So if we have B plus C in parentheses and A is to the right of the parentheses, and there's no operation between the parentheses and A, we just distribute the A this way, and we get BA plus CA, which is the same thing. Now I know some of you may be thinking, wait, how can A go with B and how can A go with C? They're not like terms. We can multiply unlike terms. We just cannot add and subtract unlike terms. All right. All right. So if we look here, we have A times B minus C, same thing. We're going to distribute. Oh, I got to put away my eraser. We're going to distribute the A to the B. We're going to distribute the A to the C. And that's going to give us AB minus AC. And we get the same thing if we did it backwards. Oh, I got to put away my eraser. A distributes to the C, A distributes to the B, giving us those. So it doesn't matter what operation is happening between what's inside the parentheses, we just distribute through what we have. All right. So this is looking at it with variables, and I know some of you guys are going, wait, what is going on? This is the definition of it. I think when we start looking at numbers, I think it's going to help out. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to look at how we're going to solve algebraic expressions this way. So if I have the following, we have 12 times y plus 3. Well, we can't take y and 3 and add them together because they are not like terms. But I do need to simplify. I need to get rid of the parentheses. So I'm going to distribute my 12 to the y, and then I'm going to distribute my 12 to the 3. So it's called, so 12 times y is going to give me 12y plus, I'm going to use that one, 12 times 3 is going to give us 36. I cannot combine 12y and 36 because they're not like terms. So then we will work, so we are basically done. You will hear me also call the distributive property the rainbow property. And the reason I like to call it the rainbow property is we're drawing our rainbows to remind ourselves that 12 has to be distributed to everything inside of the parentheses. So make sure you are drawing your rainbows to show you that you need to distribute that 12 or whatever's on the outside of the parentheses to everything inside of the parentheses. So let's look at the next one. We have 4 times y squared plus 8y plus 2. I cannot combine any like terms inside the parentheses, so I'm going to distribute my 4 to everything inside of the parentheses. So this time, my 4 is going to be multiplied by 3 different terms. So 4 times y squared gives us 4y squared plus 4 times 8y. Well, I need to do 4 times 8 first. 4 times 8 is 32. Throw on the y. And then plus 4 times 2 is 8. I cannot combine these because they are not like terms, but I did simplify it because I got rid of the parentheses. All right. Let's do, so if you remember, let's do one more. I know. So let's go with 3x minus 4. And on the outside, I'm going to put, let's go 10. Like I said in the example with the variables, even though the 10's on the right side, we're still going to distribute because there's no operation between the parentheses and the 10. So we're going to distribute the 10 here. We're going to distribute the 10 here. 10 times 3x is 30x minus, because we're bringing down the minus, 10 times 4 is 40. All right. So remember, we just multiply through whatever it is. All right, so here are 2 problems I want you to try on your own. The first one's a little tricky. I threw a negative number in there, but you know how to multiply negative numbers. So again, with on your own, I would like you to please pause your video and try these on your own. So you should be pausing the video now. All right, so for the first one, you should have gotten negative 8x minus 12, or you could have done negative 18x plus negative 12. I said negative 8, that's negative 18. So again, negative 18x plus negative 12 or negative 18x minus 12. And then for the second one, we distribute the 8 backwards. So we should have gotten 24x squared minus 32x plus 48. And remember, we can't combine any of those because they're not like terms. All right, so that was an on your own. Now we're gonna really dig into these distributive properties. What if I run into a problem like this? Okay, we got 4 times x plus 6 plus 3 times 2x minus 10. Oh man, there's a lot going on here. Well, we have 2 sets of distribution that we have to do. First, we have to distribute the 4 to the x and the 6. Then we have to distribute the 3 to the 2 and the 10. The reason we don't distribute the 3 backwards is this plus sign right here. This plus sign is separating the 3 in the parentheses, so that's why the 3 does not get distributed backwards. All right. Remember, distribution is basically multiplication, and a number next to parentheses means multiplication. So let's go 4 times x is going to give us 4x. 4 times 6 is going to give us 24, plus 3 times 2 gives us 6x, and 3 times 10 gives us 30. Now, I know a lot of you say, oh, I'm done. Yes. No, remember, we're not done, because if we look, we have not fully simplified this expression because there are now like terms. We have an x and we have a 6x. We have a positive 24 and we have a negative 30. So now we have to combine like terms. 4x and 6x gives us 10x. 24 and negative 30 gives us negative 6. Or you could have 10x plus negative 6. These two are equivalent. They mean the same thing. So just because we do distribution doesn't mean we're done. We need to double check to make sure we have everything simplified, meaning there are no more like terms. Let's look at another one. We have y minus 7 minus 2 times y plus 4. Well, this y minus 7, if you look, there's nothing to distribute here. There's no number in front of the first parentheses, and next to the second parentheses, there's a minus sign, so we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to rewrite y minus 7 because there's nothing to do here. Now, this is the tricky part. This minus sign goes with this 2. So when I distribute the 2, I'm actually distributing a -2. So if it helps you to draw a box or whatever around the negative number with a variable to remind yourself that you have to distribute the negative, do that. So we have -2 times y. So negative times a positive is a negative. 2 times 1 is 2. So we have -2y. And then we have to distribute the -2 to the +4. A negative times a positive is going to give us a negative, and 2 times 4 is 8. Okay. Now if we look, we do have some like terms. We have a y and a -2y. We have a -7 and a -8. So if we combine them together, y minus 2y gives us -y. -7 minus 8 gives us -15. All right. So that's how this works. When you see that minus sign in the middle, you got to remember to distribute the minus sign with that number. All right, so now we're going to try an on your own. So we have 2 problems. My little doodad's in the way. We have 2 problems that I want you to try on your own. The first one, 2 times 7a plus 3 plus 8 times 1 minus 3a. And then we also have 11 times 6m minus 2 minus 6 times 10m minus 3. Remember, there's that minus with that 6. You got to distribute that with it. So I want you to pause your video, and I want you to try these ones on your own. All right, so for the first one, you should have gotten -10a plus 14. For the second one, you should have gotten 6m minus 4. Because remember, when we distribute this -6, negative times a positive gives us a -60. A negative and a negative gives us that plus 18. Okay. So that's how those work. That was on your own. If this is still confusing, when we break down and we go, we ask for questions, this is where you want to definitely make sure you ask your questions here. All right. So make sure you have your notes copied down. And we will go from there.